Good afternoon. I am Todd Podell. I am the head of procurement at Discover Financial Services. And Discover is a company that has three major businesses: credit card, digital bank, and a payments network, one of the world's largest, with over $500 billion flowing through it on an annual basis. So coming from a technology company, I'm very honored to participate in this conference. And I love the title that Matthias and the team have came up with of Make Tech Work. Because what the title is not, it's not tech works. It doesn't work on its own. You have to make it work. So you have to do something. And we all know that technology is a great enabler of efficiencies, effectiveness, and optimization. And I'm going to share what I've learned over many technology implementations in procurement that has really helped make tech work. But first, I want to ask a question. How many of you have been in a company where you've seen technology not work? So by show of hands, how many of you have seen an implementation not go as planned, over budget, didn't deliver the expectations, perceived or real? We've all been there. In my first corporate job, I took over a team that was the first customer of Ariba, and it wasn't going as planned. Prior to coming to Discover, I led a pharmaceutical med device team as head of transformation, and we were leading, at the time, one of the world's largest implementations of SAP. And it was a total disaster. Failed audits, canceled surgeries, demoralized team. And in my current role, 3 years ago when we started our procurement systems transformation at Discover, it's part of a highly regulated world in financial systems, and as a result, we had siloed systems and tools for procurement and sourcing and contracting and risk assessment, and the result, we had an abysmally slow supplier onboarding time, and that was affecting the business. The great news is all of these turned out well, and I'm going to share what I have found the common threads to make tech work. Number one, develop and evolve a top talent culture. Secondly, improve your processes before you start any implementation. And third, take the time to develop an end-to-end comprehensive technology roadmap. If you forget anything else I said today, just remember one thing. The most important factor in making tech work and building a great culture of any kind is to focus on people and talent first. The U.S. Council on Competition did a survey and found that the number one factor in innovation, more important than funding or anything else, was people and talent. The only way you get great people and talent is to develop a culture that great talent wants to join. And remember that systems and great technology are not a replacement for great talent. If you have super systems and mediocre talent, you're going to be capped at mediocre. But if you have the inverse, if you have great talent and subpar systems, the sky is the limit. And the way you get that great talent is build a great culture that people want to join. And culture eats strategy for breakfast. I love this quote because what it means is the most important factor in building a team for success is having a strong culture. A couple weeks ago, Korn Ferry came out with a study that said the most undervalued success factor in all of business is culture. Similarly, McKinsey did a survey at the height of the post-pandemic job crisis, and they found that employers and leaders were missing what's important to people: feeling appreciated by your boss, feeling valued by your company, being part of a team that's cohesive, that's together. And so for these reasons, we put our priorities on building a culture that top talent wants to join, finding, attracting, developing, retaining, and growing great talent. And this has to be a priority because we all know every day what our operational objectives are. We get that red, urgent exclamation email about something that's really important to do, but you never get that email with the red exclamation point urgent that says, did you develop your culture today? So you have to make it a focus and a priority. When I took over the SAP implementation at the med device company, we had 500 people around the world on this program, and there was a 20% annual turnover rate. 3 years later, it was less than 1% because we focused on culture, and one of the most important values, behaviors in making tech work and implementation is having a transparent culture. So every good culture has its behaviors and its values, and we do too, but I want to just hit on this one because it is so important. At this med device company in the implementation, it was command and control, dates, dollars, deliverables at all costs. If the team spoke up, they were pushed down. Just go fix it. Don't complain. So what do you think happened? They stopped talking. They stopped giving feedback. And when I came in there, it was clear we needed to turn that around and create a speak-up culture. But the only way you create a speak-up culture is to have a listen-up culture, where their managers and your leaders are soliciting feedback. They're asking for ways they can do better. They're complimenting their team and thanking them when they give constructive ideas. And they're taking action based on what they hear. And because tech implementations can be so challenging, it's really important that you have leaders who can motivate and energize the team. And on that note, I saw a study from Harvard University that said there's only 2 reasons people follow leaders. Either they want to or they have to. And when they have to, they drag their feet, they check the box, they do the minimum, but when they want to, teams will break through walls to deliver for a leader that they want to follow. So for that reason, we put an emphasis on developing leaders that people want to follow, and I have found that these 5 behaviors have been most important in developing that kind of leadership. Now, you all may have different behaviors. We've heard a lot of good ones here today, but these are the ones that I have found to be most important. Number 1, that leaders ensure their teams are appreciated. You look at any employee satisfaction survey, the number 1 factor is something to do with people feeling valued for what they do. That they're challenged, and I don't mean a lot of extra work, I mean stretch assignments, innovative methods. That they're heard, because great talent wants to have a voice. They want to make a contribution. They want their opinion to matter. And that they're informed. You as leaders know a lot of things that your team may not know, that the team wants to know about their work, about the company. And even when you can't tell them, letting them know when you can tell them is very helpful to the team. And a big one is development, making sure your great talent has personal and career path growth plans, because the talent really appreciates that you are investing your resources in them. Love this quote: give people a reputation and they will live up to it. As a leader, especially in a tech implementation, times get tense, but you gotta step back and praise the good work when you see it. If you don't, people feel that you don't appreciate them. But giving great feedback publicly when people are doing a good job, especially in a tech implementation, it energizes the group. It gives them confidence that they can deliver. Now, I'm not saying not to give constructive feedback, that's important, but just remember, praise publicly, admonish privately. And having talked about people, I want to step back now and just hit on the number 2 thing I mentioned, which is fix your processes first. It's very tempting to try and jump in and implement a tool, but I will say in that debate, do you fix it and then shift it to the new system, or do you shift it and fix it once you're there? I will tell you unequivocally it's been helpful to fix your processes first, because 2 things. 1, then you can tailor your requirement to your new systems and tools to be fit for purpose, and secondly, you can realize the value of that new technology much faster. And think big. When you are developing a technology roadmap, make sure you take the time to go end to end and figure out all of the systems and pain points and processes along the way. I know it's tempting to just look for that one solution and put it in when you see it, but take the time to go end to end and understand what's available in the marketplace that will help you achieve your goals. And this conference is a great resource for that. Make sure you're aligned to your system's mission and strategy. It is your company's mission and strategy. It is very, very easy to just want to create your goals and objectives for your own department. But when you create them against the company's objectives, you do 2 things. You get a whole employee base who's excited to see you succeed, and your teams will be very much helped by knowing that in those peaks and valleys of tech implementation, They will be able to see that they're part of a big picture, something more important, and build that holistic roadmap with buy-in from top leadership. So whether it's the board, the CEO, your top leaders, you are spending their most valuable resources, their time, their money, and their top talent. So they will either be a critic or a co-owner, and you want them to be a co-owner. So does a focus on culture and talent work? I will tell you, in the 6 global procurement transformations I've been a part of, the answer is absolutely yes. And at Discover, over these last 3 years in our journey to make tech work, we've seen by focusing on people and culture, we have a 50% improvement in supplier onboarding cycle time. We've eliminated 100,000 days of system time annually. We've created visibility and accountability that never was seen in the organization. And as a result, our savings is also up 2.5 times what they were 3 years ago. There's a demand for our talent, and procurement has become a destination. And due to this focus on culture and people, what was perceived a few years ago as a tactical back office function now is considered a strategic pillar in the company's growth. This document here was publicly shared with investors and analysts to show what were the key drivers in the strategy to grow the business, and procurement was listed as one of them. So as a final thought, I would just tell you to truly focus, at the expense of other things, on building a top talent culture, because I believe it is the most important factor in making tech work. Thank you.